All right, welcome to lesson 2. Lesson 1, we looked at a very simple but very cool substitution cipher, also known as a Caesar cipher. This next one is another kind of substitution cipher. The word substitution means, take like a substitute teacher is a teacher who is coming to replace your regular teacher for a little while, right? Well, so a substitution cipher then must mean some sort of code where we're taking like a letter and we're substituting something else for it. We're putting something else where a letter should be, right? So substitution ciphers are like one of the very first kinds of code that like secret code that you learn. They're kind of easy to break once you know what you're doing, but they're also kind of easy to learn. But if you don't know what's going on here, you're gonna be like, yikes. Look at that thing. Is that hieroglyphics? Did an alien write this? What's going on here? Okay, well, just like the last one, once you learn the trick, you can be like, that's it? That's the trick? Yeah, that's the trick. Key thing is, you gotta learn the trick. So, what's the trick? All right, well, this is called a Pigpen cipher, or I like history. I like to call it a Masonic cipher. So we call it a Masonic cipher because there's like this kind of secret group. They're still around. They're called the Freemasons or the Masons. Maybe you might even know someone who is a Mason. Well, a long time ago, the Masons, they're like this group of people. They're kind of like a secret society. They're not really secret because we know about them, but like they have secret rituals and things they do that like no one who's not a Mason is supposed to know. And so and you're kind of in a semi-secret society, sometimes you need to send messages to people, kind of like that Caesar guy, right? Like I got to send a message to somebody far away, and anybody could intercept the message, could steal it, look at it, see it, and so I need a code that only my friends who are in on the code will understand, but everybody else will be like, I don't get it. This is a Masonic code or a Pigpen cipher. So how does this thing work, Mr. Rainey? That's enough history. Give me to like the trick. What's the trick? Okay, well, here's the trick. That's it. There's the trick. Got it? No? I don't blame you. First time I saw this, I was like, oh, that's not helpful. I don't understand that. Okay, well, check it out. This is actually pretty cool when you see how it works. See the letter A? You see how there's like this kind of like, looks like tic-tac-toe board here? Or hashtag if you're on Twitter. See how the A sits right there in that part of the little tic-tac-toe board? Well, guess what? When I use a Pigpen cipher, if I need to write the letter A, I don't write the letter A. What I do is I use, see what I just highlighted in green? A equals that. That's the letter A in the Pigpen cipher. Okay, wait a second, Mr. Rainey. What would the letter B? What would that be? Well, let's see. Where is B in this little tic-tac-toe board? B's right there. See, I just highlighted it right there. Well, B equals that. Oh, wait, are you telling me that the letter C would just be this part of the tic-tac-toe board? That's exactly what I'm telling you. C equals that little angle right there. Really? Yeah, that's it, man. That's the whole. That's literally the whole thing. So D would be this, E would be the square, F would be that part. So as you can see, when I get to I filled up all those. But wait a second, Mr. Rainey. When you got to like the letter, so now you go come over here to J. Wouldn't J be the same thing as A? How would you know the difference between J and A? Here, let me clear everything off here for a second. How would you know the difference if so A is this? Let me write it bigger so we can really see it. A equals that. So I come over here to J. J is the same thing, Mr. Rainey. How would you know the difference between A and J? That would be like a mess. Do you see how J has that little dot right there? That's J. All the ones with dots. It's just, you just add the dot to the thing. Now I know A is the one without a dot, J is the one with the dot. By the way, same thing down here. When you get to S, if S equals that kind of V looking thing, then W is the V thing with the dot in it. So you see how each one of these letters is just substituted for whatever shape it is in this little kind of grid code looking thing right here. That's it. That's the Pigpen cipher. And so when I write this out, it looks like alien or hieroglyphics. But if you're like, oh, let's see, V with the dot. Oh, the V with the dot. Well, we just saw that the V with the dot is. Oh well, you know what's funny? This one's different. So this is the tricky part. Is that different? So as you can see, mine doesn't match this one right here, right? W, or sorry, you know, that's W right there. That's right there. W. So that would be the letter W. So then this, I apologize, I was getting ahead of myself. So the little, you know, that part where it looks kind of like a pi symbol, if you know what that is. Well, which one would that be? That'd be H right there. So that's H. Okay, now I'm going to stop decrypting this because it's going to be your job. Okay, one more. It's so fun. Okay, that little kind of like backwards L. What's the backwards L? The backwards L has to be, oh, A. A right there, right? A. Oh, wow, that's it. That's the code. Okay, Mr. Rainey, I feel like for a really long message, this would take a long time. Is there like a faster way to do it? Yeah, there's a faster way to do it. This thing right here. How are you, fellow? Here's a big word. Cryptographer. Like cryptographer. Crypto means like code, and grapher means writer. So a cryptographer is somebody who writes and codes. How are you, fellow cryptographer? Encrypt. Yep, that's your secret message right there. Just put into the code. Kind of cool, huh? All right, so now now you could write this out on a piece of paper, and once just like the Caesar cipher, the person who gets your secret message has to know how to decode it, right? If they don't, if so, that's the key thing. I say key, they have to have the key to unlock your message, to decrypt it. So that's going to be the running theme in these. Is when you send a message, if you send the secret message to someone and you're like, hey, I want my best friend Billy to get my secret message. If Billy doesn't know how to decode it, how to decrypt it, then it's a worthless secret message. You're the only person in the world that can read it. I mean, maybe if you had a diary, that would be useful, but any other message, a message is something you send to someone, right? So you have to find a way to teach your friend how this works, and then so they can decrypt it, and then you don't tell anybody else. You can even, by the way, I will say, you're like, well, Mr. Rainey, this is not a Schoology class. You're just teaching like hundreds of kids how to do this, right? True. Could you make up your own? Like if everyone at Forest North Elementary knows how this works, could you just make up your own? Sure, you could. You could literally just sit there and be like, okay, we're going to make up our own Pigpen cipher. We don't have to use this one. Like maybe instead we make a grid that, or maybe you rearrange the letters. Maybe instead of doing like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, maybe just to kind of throw people off, you're like, hey, I'm going to put A in the middle. I'm going to put B up here. I'm going to put C down here. D goes right here. Like you could jumble up all the letters, so then your people who get your message be like, "Oh, it's just I know what that is. I took the Schoology course. That's the Pigpen cipher. I can just go and use this thing to decode it." Well, if you rearrange the letters, they're not going to be able to decode it. That's a code on top of a code, right? You just made it a lot more difficult for someone to intercept your message and understand it. That's kind of cool. All right, so I think we'll do one more video. I'll teach you one other. The next one, okay, I feel like the Pigpen cipher is pretty easy. The Caesar cipher looks scary, but once you learn the trick, it's not so bad. The next one's going to look really scary. It's going to take some math, but if you hang with me, if you can push through this last one, you're going to be able to speak code to a computer. Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, hang in there. Let's do it.